Hello, and welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out sessions presented by V.E.R.B. We are your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Post, saying hello to our future selves. If you've caught our other videos from before, then you know what we like to do is we like to take a specific topic, particularly one that is controversial, and we like to discuss it. We come up with different talking points to bring up throughout the discussion, but we also like to get involved with you guys as well. So for those of you tuning in, please feel free to comment and ask any questions you think might contribute to the conversation. With that being said, today's lovely topic is wave the red flag. Wave the red flag.
Now, we should have got a flag.
We should have got.
To really drive it home, people don't really be understanding. Like,
hey, we out here.
Stop it.
Stop it. All right. Now, I do want to say before we get started that if you are tuning in on Facebook, please, if you can, come to the live on YouTube so that you can comment and get contribute to the conversation. We can see who you are, say hello, things of that nature. Adrian should be posting, if he hasn't already, he should have posted the link to the YouTube live in the Facebook chat. So again, if you are tuning in on Facebook, please come to the YouTube. Once you come, like the video, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you can catch every time that we go live on Thursday, 7 o'clock Central Time, that is.
That's the thing.
Before we get into it, why do you think it's important to discuss red flags? To provide a little context, when we say red flags, we're referring to within the context of a romantic relationship, the man or the woman displaying red flags that we should pay attention to. Why do you think it's important to discuss this?
One of the reasons I think that it's important for us to discuss this is because, especially recently, there's a lot of commentary on productivity of a relationship between a man and woman. And for me, I feel like a lot of this could have definitely been resolved or prevented if one would have saw the red flags.
Absolutely. All right. So I do want to give some people time to kind of join in. Say hello. Again, if you're tuning in, please say hello in the chat so we can talk to you and see who you are. How was your day today, man?
It was pretty good. Pretty good.
You got some people coming?
They just joining.
Oh, okay.
And yours?
Today was a good day. This past week has been a good week, I would say.
Do you think us getting back on the V.E.R.B has contributed to the week? Just kind of like, I really don't care what go on in the world because I got this going on.
I don't know. It probably has definitely shifted my energy towards people, towards the conversations that I've had lately. for sure.
And what I'm about to say is going to kind of be playing devil's advocate, but you feel like you're now more willing to entertain those people due to the fact that they offer very great things to bring to the V.E.R.B sessions.
Yes, I would probably say that. Yeah.
It makes it seem like we're using people.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
no. I got
it's for my own, but also like you always say, it's for your own benefit as well to help you exercise those skills that you're trying to develop. I think I found that for myself as well in a way. So yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with people over the past couple of days where it's just like, man, y'all.
Yeah, I felt bad, because I used to kind of view people in that, lab rat type of space. Yet I thought about it. I'm only doing that and gathering this information so that I can then help you, right? Like I'm trying to make sure did you just say, okay, bet, let's talk about it, right? Yeah, So I used to look at it in a negative, like, dang, I really be using people to develop myself, but I'm developing myself to pour back into you. So
right, because you're still benefiting from it, in the long run as well. So, but yeah, it's definitely been something. It's definitely been something.
It excites you to like wake up and be like, I wonder what they gonna give me to talk about today.
Like what can you like cook up today
Yeah.
for me to have
Yeah.
to like debunk,
Mm-hmm.
and it never fails. And just when you think you're getting used to it, like
Nope.
they
come with something
never
else.
fail to surprise you. Right? It's crazy. It is crazy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. As people are coming in, we can go ahead and say hello to them.
Denisha, how we doing?
Hey, Denisha.
Flavor, how we doing? Miss Jones, how we doing?
Again, if you're tuning in on Facebook, click the link that Adrian posted in the Facebook chat and come to the YouTube live for me, please, so we can talk to you, please. All right, so what I want to do today, I want to switch things up a little bit from how we've used to do it, and I want to play a little game called Cap On, Cap Off. This game is called Cap On, Cap Off. So what I've done is, or what we've done is we've come up with a couple of myths about relationships. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through each myth and determine whether the myth is true or not. If we believe that the myth is true, then we say cap off for no cap, right? Or if we believe the myth to be false, then we say cap on. Now, whatever our answer is, we have to explain why we feel that way in depth. Sounds simple enough?
Just making sure. So, cap on means true.
Cap on means true.
And cap off.
No, cap on means false.
Oh, sorry.
Because remember, it's like, yo, you
Yeah,
capping.
yeah. Cap off means.
Cap off means true. Cap on means false.
Okay.
So again, I'm gonna go through a list of myths about relationships. Each myth that I state, if we believe it to be true, then we say cap off. If we believe it to be false, then we say cap on, and we explain why we feel the way we feel about each myth as we go through it. Make sense?
Make sure I post it right. So cap off is true, cap on is false.
Now, if you're watching in the chat as I go through each of them, feel free to state how you feel as well. Again, cap off is true, cap on is false. So please, as I say each statement or each myth, tell us how you feel about it in the chat, and we'll see it and discuss it. Okay. So we'll try to start with a light one, pretty easy one. Still talking to people in the chat.
I'm trying to post the right thing. Okay. Got it. Cap off true, cap on false. All right.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll start with a pretty simple one. A man that has multiple baby mamas is a red flag. Cap on, cap off.
A man that has multiple baby mamas is a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
That is. I can't call it.
You can't call it? What do you mean?
Because it's moving parts.
Expound.
So, no, forget it. It's gonna be cap off.
Cap off.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So you say cap off. A man that has multiple baby mamas, I would say cap off as well. But why do you say cap off? Or what are those moving parts that you're referring to?
So I was thinking of it in a sense of, like, how many are we talking multiple? Like 2, 3, 4.
Baby mothers, right? Not children, but baby mothers.
Right. I mean, you've had children by these women.
Correct.
So how many are we talking multiple? Now 2, maybe the cap can stay. It depends. So come on. Let's not just throw my man out there like that. We are men. We can't just chuck him.
So
before
we need to set a limit.
There you go. We need a limit on multiple. What you mean?
I say 3 or more.
Okay, definitely cap off.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cap off.
So you're saying less than 3, we can talk about it.
Yeah. 2, I can see.
You can see it.
Like the first one, they was together. You know, they didn't work out.
Yeah,
Miscommunication,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Whoop the whoop.
Yeah.
She cheated. He cheated. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Got with another girl, of course, right? Just got out of a bad relationship. Boom. Maybe the rebound situation. My dude was really trying to, do the right thing. Something else happened. He stopped there, right?
There's 2.
You did it again.
Flag on the
now,
play.
hold on. So, yeah, I give you 2.
You'll
I
give
do
him two. All right. If anybody's in the chat, can you state whether you believe it's cap on or cap off? A man with multiple baby mamas, 3 or more, is that?
Denisha say cap.
It's a red flag.
Why do you feel like that's cap, Denisha? Is it a red flag for a man to have multiple baby mamas? And you say cap, so that's false. You don't think it's a red flag, or you do think it's a red flag? And why do you answer the way you did? Crystal, do you think it's a red flag for a man to have multiple baby mamas?
Yeah, cap on, cap off.
Cap
Again,
on,
to
cap
kind
off.
of explain the rules of the game. So we're going through a bunch of myths about relationships, dealing with red flags. So each myth that I state, we have to determine if that myth is true, or if we believe that myth is true or false. If we believe it's true, then we say cap off, meaning no cap. If we think it's false, then you say cap on, meaning you capping. And we have to explain why we feel the way we feel about that particular myth about red flags. So for me, we agree that it's 3 or more, right? A man with 3 or more baby moms is definitely cap off as a red flag. Because to me, I feel like it displays a lack of self-control. It definitely displays a lack of preparation and planning on his part as well. I can understand being in a relationship with someone and you're casually having sex without, whether it's with or without protection, because we know even with protection things can break or whatever or not work properly. I can understand ending up having a child within the context of a long-term relationship, or a relationship where you're not necessarily planning for the future, but you're not necessarily planning to get out of it anytime soon anyway. You guys are kind of just going with the flow, letting things happen how they happen. You're having sex, boom, we're pregnant, we having a kid, right? I can understand that. However, even on that level, it does still display a lack of preparedness or preparation, a lack of planning for, okay, if we're going to have a child, what is the best scenario for us to bring a child in this world, right? What can we do to ensure that once we have a child, we have the necessary things set in place in order to properly care for the child, and also to make sure that this child is not taking away from what we're trying to do, not only as individuals, but as a couple as well, right? So that's why I say it's cap off for true, that it is a red flag, because men are more likely to just be spreading the seed everywhere, you know what I mean? Like, especially considering the fact that, when we're having sex, it kind of is up to us when it comes down to the climax point of the session.
We do got that locked down. We got that. That's us.
To make sure that we don't.
That's on us.
You know what I mean?
That's on
like
us.
that's our,
I'm gonna take that.
We got to.
That's us.
We have no choice.
That's us.
We have no choice.
That's definitely us.
So I think at the end of the day, it does fall on the man to make sure he doesn't, slip. I'm not even gonna say slip up, because there's not.
That's why they keep doing it.
Yeah.
They keep doing it
because they keep hiding behind this.
Yeah, no, it's not a slip.
It's not.
You
slip.
felt that.
You didn't slip up.
You felt that creeping down. That you felt the creeping
There's
down.
at least 10 seconds from when you first get the feeling to when it comes.
You felt it. You felt that come. It starts right here. I mean, some men are a little bit shorter, so for them it starts right here. But if you from here to here, you felt it. And I know if you working with something from here
you definitely
to here, you felt it.
It has to travel. It has to travel.
Bro, you felt that, bro. You felt that.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's not like a from point A
no, it
straight.
don't. Yeah,
like, it's
no,
bro.
No.
You
And it don't start forming at the head.
It don't.
You felt that.
So yeah, men have a responsibility. I'm sorry, men that are watching, but listen,
y'all know y'all out of order.
Yeah, stop it. You know you have a responsibility to make sure that.
And even if they be like, well, I didn't know, that still speaks to the self-control and self-awareness.
Exactly.
Like, why don't you know what's going on with your body?
Yeah.
I don't be paying attention to all that. That's your problem.
Yeah.
That's your problem. Right there.
So that's why even if we are talking less than 2,
yeah,
that's still, come on, man.
Now, and the thing about it though, and I mean, I'll call it a red flag even in a marriage. And when you were talking, I was like, wait a minute, this ain't even subject to just a single relationship. Like, even in a marriage, like, as a wife, you should, and especially if you wasn't even like this whole I had a oops baby, because I've talked to a lot of females, they'd be like, dang, like I didn't plan on having another one, and then I was like my husband, she right, you know what I'm saying? So that's a red flag for you. Like, I ain't saying divorce him, but y'all need to sit down and have a conversation. Hey, bro, what you got going on? You know what I'm saying? You didn't feel that coming out the head of that thing?
Facts.
So yeah, even outside of a relationship that's like in a marriage, like that's still a red flag. We still need to sit down and have a talk about this.
Right. I agree. So that was a good one. Did Nisha explain why?
Nisha, do you want to elaborate on why you feel like that was cap? And Crystal, do you feel like it's a red flag for a man to have multiple baby mothers?
All right. Next one, cap on, cap off. A woman that does not offer to contribute to the bill on the first date is a red flag. Cap on, cap off. What do you say?
Hold on. I'm typing them in my chat.
Okay. Cap on, cap off. A woman that does not offer to contribute to the bill on the first date is a red flag. Cap on, cap off. How y'all feel?
I'm gonna call cap. I'm gonna call cap on that.
Cap on or cap off?
Cap. It's false.
Oh, cap
it's
off.
It's not a red flag.
Okay. It's
not.
Whoa.
I got you though. Don't just. I know why you finna throw your ball away like that. Like, you ain't even gonna.
I'm not. You just took me fast.
But I'm coming though. Okay. I'm gonna come real good though.
So just to be clear,
I'm coming good.
A woman that does not offer to contribute to the bill on the first date is a red flag. You're saying that it's
not
cap off.
It's cap on.
You're saying cap on.
Yeah, it's not a red flag.
Okay, so you think it's false?
Yeah, it's false. It's not a red flag.
Please explain yourself.
All right. Let me know if I'm wrong. All right. The reason that I don't feel like that's a red flag for us as men is because we have to understand that there must be a space created for the conversation to get them out of the traditional mindset that they was raised under. Most women in the world has this men are supposed to mentality. And a lot of men aren't going to go in and try to dismantle that the very first time they meet. You have to first get into their psyche first to get them to like you, and then we can start having those conversations, because if you really into her, this is just a character flaw. This is something that can be changed, but you got to be wise about how you're going about handling. So you're not going to, well, it's not wise to be like, hey, you paying? Because she's going to be like, what do you mean? Like, you blah, blah, blah. But if you build a relationship with her and she'll be like, dang, he's really interesting. He's really different. When she get the idea that you're different, you can then slide that different ideal in there. And then the next date and the next date, and then you're married, and she be like, you know what? I really appreciate that. But if you would have came at me on the first date with that, this wouldn't even be a thing. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So initially, no, I don't think that's a red flag for us. It is something that we need to take note of, because that's something we're going to have to bring up in the future. But just play to the game that you're playing until you can implement the new guidelines you're trying to play with.
Okay. Yeah.
Come on, bro.
All right.
Come on. Don't.
I got you.
Come on, bro.
You did that.
Come on.
And I ain't going to lie to you. At first, I was going to say cap off. But you convinced me.
Come on, bro. Play the game. Now, we play the game all the time, bro.
I get you. Because to be honest, I operate exactly how you just explained it. And it's worked out for me 9 times out of 10.
And those women, even if you didn't work out, I bet you they appreciate you. I know for a fact at least 2 of the females you've talked to before, they speak highly of you because you introduced such new concept that just made sense. Yeah. Which they're going to use it for some other guy, but you did that. Yeah. You would have never been able to do that if you would have been like, hey, you going in on it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. I got you. All right. You
Ain't
convinced
no
me, bro.
way
You
you
convinced me, bro.
finna-
You convinced me.
You finna cancel, son. You finna Yeezy me, my guy.
I just wasn't sure, yo.
You
The
finna-
path wasn't clear, son.
You finna yay me, bro.
Yeah, I'm talking, bro, like anti-Semitic, son. Slavery was a choice.
Bruh. Yeah, I feel like I was fighting for my life. Look, while I was talking, my mind was like, don't use the wrong word. Do not pick the wrong word. He will get you.
He will get you. He will get you. All right, let's move on to the next one. Did anybody comment in Facebook?
Nah.
All right. Oh, snap it up. Oh, is that your one? Thank you.
Oh, I always do this.
All right. Next one. A man that pays 80% of the bills but does not contribute to the household duties is a red flag. So for me, I'm going to say cap on, but for the exact reason that you just explained about the woman not contributing to the bill on the first date.
So, read the question again.
A man that pays 80% of the bills but does not contribute to the household duties is a red flag.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that. Like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I have to.
We fall under that same. Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
So let's just pause for a minute though.
Okay.
Cause now it's a whole new world. So, would you say that a lot of red flags are actually great pivotal points to produce like productivity? Because like once we identify it as a red flag, because I know even for me, when I hear red flag, it's like, oh, turn the other way, game over. Mm-hmm. But now that we're sitting down talking about it, I never saw a red flag as a potential to win a game. Because normally in a game, when you throw a red flag, it's like, oh, step back five steps, it's a penalty. Yeah. But now it's like, wait a minute. A lot of these red flags are needed for productivity. Because we all came up in this foolishness, right? The whole, not necessarily saying chivalry is foolishness, but it has cultivated this idea that men have to do these things and women have to do these things, but they're not productive in the long term of the relationship because it creates divorce and resentment and all the other problems. But until this conversation, I never saw a red flag as a means to win a game. Like now I see it as, snap, it's a good thing. You see what I'm saying? Like,
are you speaking from the perspective of when we identify the red flag, it creates the opportunity for conversation?
Yeah.
And creates the opportunity to identify what areas we need to improve in to make sure that we stay productive.
Because before then, it was red flag, turn around, run. Like, I've never heard nobody, like, speak in a red flag manner, but weren't telling you to go the other way or end it. It was always, hey, he did this. Leave him. Mm-hmm. Or she is doing this, leave. It's never like we're talking about now, like, hey, it's not a red flag. Or even if you identify it as a red flag, it doesn't mean the game is over. Mm-hmm. Let's discuss it.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Never thought about it like that.
I see what you mean. But yeah, we both agree on it's cap on.
For the same reason. Yeah, like you have to, but now the thing is though, the problem that we'll have with this one, the woman, just like the man, because notice how we had no problem with agreeing that, hey, let's go ahead and pay for this one because it's kind of an investment to get her to buy in later on to working together, right? Mm-hmm. But females, they're receiving the benefits, so they would have to be the ones who say, hey, just because you're a man, you don't have to pay all the bills. Let me help you. Let me do this. How many females you know gonna do that?
None.
So the only way that it would go from a red flag to something beneficial for the productivity of the relationship, if we have a woman or wife willing to be like, you know what, let me stop him from doing that.
Yeah.
But I haven't really met one that's gonna really be on that type of leadership because that's really what it is. The
Yeah.
woman has to take the leadership to come out of that tradition and also pull the man with him, with her, because he's gonna give the kickback. No, I'm the man. I'm supposed to be doing this. Like, hey, she gonna have to explain to him, hey, if I'm taking my money and just blowing it, we could be using that to get stuff paid off and save up and make investment. I ain't thought about it like that. Well, of course.
Yeah. But I can see a woman having an issue with it because like at first women for women the idea of okay, well my man is going to pay majority of the bills and all I got to do is cook and clean and make sure the house is a home, and maybe pay the light bill every now and then. That sounds lovely, right? But once they get into it and we get further along into it, they realize that it's stressful always having to pick up after you. It's stressful always having to figure out what we're gonna eat. It's stressful always having to clean the house when not only I have to clean up after you, but I also have to clean up after this child that you put in me as well.
And your friends, the homeboy,
and your friends, the homeboys come in, and you see me stressed out, but you're not helping. Like so, but women aren't. They're not approaching it from the perspective of okay, well, is this a red flag that I need to address?
They're eating it because they're getting the benefits of not having to spend their money, but they're internalizing the resentment from I need help.
Right.
There's so much deconstruction and rebuilding that's needed because it seems like we're so set in our tradition that when a new process comes about that could help, just like for men, a lot of men feel like because I pay 80%, I'm justified in watching you stress and clean. Women feel like, well, you get joy out of working all them hours to pay these bills. Neither one of us is actually happy though. Like that's not something we actually want to do. We've accepted these roles, so therefore I watch not me, but like metaphorically speaking, I'm gonna watch you run around taking care of the child, doing all this and that because I'm paying the bills, so I don't have to help you.
So here's my pushback. So I agree for the most part with everything that we're saying. However, my pushback is on the woman's side. The woman has a very specific. They have certain things that they, under no circumstance, will move their stance on. So, for instance, like if a woman's in a relationship with a man, and like let's say her and her man are going somewhere and they're driving somewhere or whatever the case is, a woman would never pump her own gas if her man's in the car with them, right? A woman will never cut the grass if she has a man at home, right? Like a woman feels like her door should always be open if her man, like those are, women have certain things that under no circumstance they will move on, that they, because they feel like in a relationship, men and women have certain very distinct roles. And when it comes to the roles that cater to them, they don't want to waver on those, right? Like as far as what a man is supposed to do for a woman. However, on the flip side, when it comes to roles that are specific to them or duties that are specific to them based on their gender, they create room or space for the man to then help out every now and then, i.e. cooking, or i.e. cleaning, i.e. laundry, i.e. helping out with the child, right? So my problem with it is, why is it that on your end, when it comes to duties that are assigned to you based on your gender, you create room for me to help out every now and then when I identify that this is stressful or tiring you out. However, on the flip side, when it comes to certain duties that are assigned to me, when I create space for you to then help out, I'm less than a man, or it's oh no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. So that's why I say,
I feel you on that.
That's why it's hard for me to accept it, because if women were willing to create or accept the same space that men create on their end, as men accept the space that they create on their end, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. But because that's not the case, I can't rock with it. Yeah. So that's my issue.
I mean, I feel like especially in today's society where we are in a generation where we don't have a problem with telling, hey, I felt the way about that. our generation of men are more vocal about how we feel in our mental space, I feel like it's safe, and I mean, this really should have been done, to sit down and ask, what are your expectations of me before we even get into this? You know what I'm saying? And that's on a man and a woman, because she may name something, one of those traditional things like, hey, I don't believe in, pumping my own gas. I believe I get my nails done every week and my man supposed to pay for it. Woo! hold it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We come in with these expectations, these expectations that were not discussed. And then when they're not being met, you run off and talk to your friends about it. And then I look less than, or I run off and talk to my friends about it, and you look less than. But we never really had a conversation about, hey, once we are in this relationship or we're in this house, these are your responsibilities and these are mine. We never really had that conversation. Who do you know sat down and actually went through all of it, like a day in the life of us? Okay, we're both gonna wake up. Some days you may get the child ready. Some days I may. No, people don't talk about stuff like that. Yeah. And that's needed.
It's tough.
I just feel like it's a web now, and until we really sit down and start, we need to start over. Like, no matter how long you've been in a relationship, no matter what has conspired, start over. Sit down.
We need a reset.
Yeah, reset it. Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move on to the next one. A man that does not open the door for a woman is a red flag. Cap on, cap off. A man that does not open the door for a woman is a red flag. Cap on, cap off.
I feel like we've had such a great revelation. A lot of these are going to fall into the same category as the other two. Like, it's not initially a red flag. It's just one of those things that, and it's sad we've gotten to the point to where we can't initially approach people with what the truth or reality should be. We have to first adhere to what we currently do and then move our way into what we need it to be. And I think it falls into the same category. Like, it's not a red flag that he didn't open the door or he don't open the door. But then it's like, if you want that, say that. Or if you feel like he should be doing that, you need to say that. But don't just automatically knock him off because he don't. Because, I mean, a lot of men don't aspire to chivalry anymore. That's just one of those things that kind of has become extinct to some of us, but some of us still do it just out of common courtesy. Yeah. So that's another one of them things.
So cap on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cap on for me too. A woman that lacks effective communication is a red flag.
Yes. Cap on.
No, cap off.
Cap off.
Cap off.
Cap. Matter of fact, cap on the floor. Don't let that cap touch your head. I'm talking Shanghai. Whatever that name is on the comeback. Baby.
Look, we graduating.
Man, what?
Toss it in the air, bro.
Please.
Why do you say cap off?
So listen, and I had this revelation a while back. One of the greatest revelations I ever had. So I believe in God, right? And God created the entire world. Everything we see was created by words. Words is one of the most important things, and one of the main ways of communication is through words, right? So if you don't have effective communication, like, you're subject to destroy the world. Like, God said, let there be light, right? And we got light. We got light bulbs, we got flashlights, like, we got x-rays, beams, all type of lights, right? What if he would have been like, let there be... It's not effective, is it? That's just...
Yeah.
That's not effective. There would not be light if he would have said that. So once I realized how important words are, I immediately committed myself to communication, definitions, understanding. Like, my speech, if you watch my older videos, it's like, dang, you're a whole different person. Because I realized then how important communication is, how important words are. And when you merge words with communication, it has to be effective. Because you can have words, you can have communication, but it not be effective. Yeah. So if we can't have effective communication, What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
How will we get there? Once we get there, how will we manage ourselves while being there? Once we learn to manage ourselves while being there, what happens when something comes up? How do you deal with it then? And everything I just named needs effective communication.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have it.
Gotcha. For me, it's definitely cap off, but I'm gonna tackle it from a different angle. Um, I think a lot of women, especially like women that we've talked to as of late, I think a lot of women are convinced when dealing with their partner in a relationship or significant other, whatever you want to call it. A lot of them are convinced that they're effectively relaying certain issues or problems that they have with how their partner is operating within that relationship, right? But we have multiple accounts of women stating that to us, and we say, okay, tell us what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, first is okay. Well, tell us what the problem is, right? And so they're struggling to tell us what the problem is.
They do it all the time.
And so, okay, you're struggling, fine. Maybe you can't tell us, but did you tell that to him? Did you tell your partner?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, okay. Well, what did you tell him? It's like, well, I can't really think of it right now. You can't just repeat what you said to him. Well, I mean, I can, but it's like, okay, if you're struggling to tell us what you said
in a non-heightened emotionless situation,
then how
you mean to tell me you believe you effectively related to him?
You didn't.
When you was here?
You didn't.
You did not.
You didn't.
You did not.
So yeah, I just believe a lot. I believe a lot of women believe that they have effective communication. They believe that they are effectively communicating when they're trying to relay their issues or problems that they're having with their partner to their partner. But really, what they're saying or how they're saying it isn't as effective as they think, because they're not really saying anything, or they're not allowing what's in here to actually come out through here. And so I do believe that's a red flag, because I also believe that women tend to have a perception of something happening that isn't actually happening, right? So what I mean by that is one thing, or let me say this. So reality is this computer, right? Mm-hmm. But women's perception is the phone. Mm-hmm. So because their perception of this device is a phone, they now have a problem because they think it's supposed to be a computer, when in actuality it's already a computer, but for some reason you think it's a phone, right? That's what I mean by women having a perception of things happening that isn't actually happening, and usually it's due to the emotional intensity that they're experiencing at current times, or more often than not throughout a day. Mm-hmm. Like anything can like throw them off. You know what I mean? So
prime example of that, and I'm glad you put a specific title to it: the emotional intensity. Prime example of a situation where I find myself not effectively communicating due to emotional intensity. The other day, I had put Noah outside, and Swanna was in the house cooking. And no, Swanna hadn't made it home yet. So Noah had been outside all day. I ain't seen Noah. Mm-hmm. Swanna got home. He blah blah blah. I said, Noah, go back outside. She cooking. He came back to the porch. I'm hungry. I said, she's cooking. You have to wait till she's done. Food doesn't automatically get done just because you're hungry. Bet. Went back out the door. He came back in. I said, Noah. Swanna was like, what he want? I'm like, nothing. No, I told her nothing. Noah says, Noah went back outside. And she was walking to the door. I'm like, where you going? She was like, I'm finna go see what he want. I'm like, I told you. She was like, no, you didn't. I'm like, I told you. She was like, you didn't. I'm like, am I tripping? Like, he only wants food, but food is not done yet. Right. But that took place in here. Mm-hmm. When I said nothing to her, it was from the sense of, I already told him that food has to wait. So there's nothing that can be done until it's done. Mm-hmm. So when I said nothing, I was speaking from the sense of, there's nothing you or I can do to speed up what he just asked for. So he's asking for nothing. because she was cooking the food that he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing that can be done. And then Swanna was like, you didn't effectively communicate. Now at first I was like, "Freak you talking to?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?" But I sat on that couch and I was like, "Dang, she right. I didn't. I knew it was nothing, in a sense of nothing can be done, but she don't know that." So I went in the kitchen. I said, "You are absolutely right. I did not effectively communicate, and I apologize. What I was saying was," and then I explained. She was like, "Oh, bet." She start back cooking. Mm-hmm. And that's a prime example of, due to the current emotional intensity, one can definitely not be effectively communicating what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on effective communication. So I ain't trying to compare, but I know if I am still subject to that, someone who has not even developed those skills in the, "Oh, you think you la," like, you know how they rah be. Yeah. Like, you're not effectively communicating to your man, bro.
But to your point, that also goes to show that it's not subject to just women. Men are subject to it as well, right? Another prime example, a conversation we were having with someone. We're not going to say names or anything, but she was recalling an incident or a time where she saw a questionable text between her boyfriend and her boyfriend's girl best friend or female best friend, right? So she approached her boyfriend about it and asked, "Well, what is this?" And his response was, "Well, that's my best friend," right? And here, that makes all the sense in the world. That explains everything.
My God.
But people have to understand that, well, we can't see in here. we don't have X-ray vision.
I don't know what that is.
We can't read your mind. So to you, that's my best friend explains everything. But
There's
to
no more
us,
questions.
well, what does that mean? Because to me, you're telling me that, well, I can interpret that as, well, do you and your best friend sleep together? Like, what do you and your best friend do, basically? So, and I gave her the alternative response of, okay, well, when you approach him about the text or asked him what it was, if he were to say, okay, I understand how the text message looks. However, prior to getting in a relationship with you, me and my best friend of X amount of years, we've developed a culture over time where we can do and say certain things and understand that it doesn't cross any boundaries of friendship, right? If he did, that's what was in here.
Perfect.
All he had to do was bring it from here and get it out, right? So that goes to show that both men and women are subject to lack of effective communication because we're thinking that whatever is in here, people can automatically see or read what's in here without having to actually verbalize that, right? And a lot of time it is due to the lack of diction or the lack of words that is needed to properly explain that and to put it all together for someone to understand what we're saying.
Because people don't read. They feel like once they're out of school, my learning is ended. And then a lot of the stuff that if you don't constantly use it, it dissipates. So like you said, like, people real life don't even know the word. Like, and you know what? A lot of people, now that I think about it, when we're talking to them, once we get to like the third question, they be like, I can't put it into words. And it makes sense now, and it's like, yeah, because you don't read, or you don't continue your learning, nor do you have these conversations with people. So that makes sense why you don't even know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely a red flag for women to lack effective communication, but it's also a red flag for men to lack effective communication. We can all agree on that, right?
Definitely.
All right. Next one. A woman that believes her money should only go towards things that benefit her is a red flag. Cap on, cap off.
Cap on.
No, cap off.
Cap off.
Cap off.
That is a red flag.
Why is it a red flag?
So, I remember I spoke to this reading here with you. Definitely. Definitely, Denise. Reading does help with emotional intelligence. I had this revelation a while back. Well, actually, like a few weeks ago. The reason I feel like it's capped off is because, and it is a red flag, is because a woman who takes that approach in a relationship signifies that she has no partnership in the area of financial improvement. And what I mean by that is any woman who can very clearly see that you're now a partner, which means the goal is to work together. The goal should also be to be productive and be beneficial for the unit now or collectively, whether it be paying bills off, paying debt off, building, purchasing investments, saving, setting us up for success, and you've negated all of that for the fun of it. And just because the man is handling the bills and you are aimlessly blowing money, this tells me that you do not have a goal or you're not team oriented in the area of financial improvement, because there's no financial improvement that comes from you aimlessly blowing money. So it's a red flag, because the very point of a relationship, which means to be working partnership and in hand with someone for the productivity of wherever we're going, is being chopped at by the actions of someone who is only self-centeredly financially considering what they want. And those wants are not beneficial to us as a unit.
Gotcha. I agree. I have nothing to add to that. A man that wants to go 50-50 is a red flag. Cap on.
That's false. It's not a red flag.
Cap on.
It's not a red flag.
To me, kind of really piggybacking off of what you just stated, to me, I think a man that wants to go 50-50 isn't automatically subscribing to the ideology of men are supposed to be the sole providers or are supposed to pay majority of the bills simply because we're men, right? Simply because that identifies us as a real man, a man that takes care of his family. A man that is suggesting going 50-50 is more than likely a man that has the idea of setting goals for where we want or need our relationship to go, or how we need our relationship to move forward, depending on what it is that we're trying to do, right? So a man that wants to go 50-50 more than likely has identified, okay, if these are the specific goals that we've set in our relationship or set for our relationship to achieve at a later time, then it is probably best for right now for both of us to be giving a certain amount or contributing a certain amount that allows for us achieving that goal to be a lot easier than it would be if one of us were the sole person doing this, right? And people have to understand, and I want women to understand, that 50-50 doesn't necessarily mean we're splitting the bills evenly, especially if we're making especially if we're not making income that's comparable to one another, right? 50-50 could be, okay, we have a $500 rent, and I make enough money to contribute $350 towards it, but you only make enough money to contribute $150 towards it. That's fine.
That's your 50.
That's your 50, right? So 50-50 is just determining, okay, what can we what can each of us contribute, and are we able to contribute that month to month to reach a specific goal, right? I know you say it all the time. Most men, if they just have the money to be able to do it all, they go ahead and do it all. But you always use the analogy, okay, if I make $100,000 a year and you only make $25,000 a year, $125,000 a year is always going to be more than $100,000.
No matter how you slice it.
No matter how you slice it, right? So that can be the difference in paying off a house in 30 years or paying it off in 20 to 15 years or 15 to 20 years, right? If we're both contributing to getting this house paid off. But if I'm the only one contributing to getting this house paid, it's going to be 30 years.
30 years.
30 years
And then
flat.
my thing is, what did you do with your money in those 30 years?
Exactly. Even if I am paying the majority of the bills, okay, what are you doing with your $25,000 a year? Like,
what I don't make
are you putting anything back to go towards something that can contribute to us in the future?
30 years.
Even if it isn't contributing to immediate bills, what are you putting? Are you saving it? Are we building a trust fund? Like, what are we doing with your $25,000?
30 years all day.
That's $25,000 wasted for 30 years a year.
But my man make $100,000. But what did y'all do collectively though?
Yeah.
People don't see it like that.
Yeah.
Like, even if she could only take $100, and once I pay the $500 rent, $500 mortgage, she take $100 of her $25,000 every month and pay it directly toward the principal, they still will pay it off in 15 years.
Still. So,
that $100 will pay that house off in 15 years.
So,
and that's your 50%.
Right. But a lot of women are caught up under the idea that, oh, he's not a man if he's not paying majority of the bills. If he pays the bills, then I take care of the home and I get to keep my money. No.
And you're putting yourself in a deficit.
You're putting yourself in a deficit, not only financially, but mentally and spiritually and emotionally as well. Because now you're building resentment because you're not getting help around the house because he believes he shouldn't have to do anything because he's already paying the majority of the bills, right? Which rightfully so. I mean... So, yeah, it's not a red flag. That's cap on for sure. Not a red flag. A man that doesn't know the difference between affection and effection is a red flag. Cap on, cap off.
I would say it's a red flag, but not to the degree of like leaving, because I mean it took me a while, even like well after I was married, to learn the difference. And my wife had to. Was that my wife or did I read a book? I think I read a book and then I asked her about it, and then she confirmed. I'm like, dang, I didn't know this was a thing. I thought like affection was effection. I thought it was. So I don't think it is a red flag, but it's one of those red flags where like, hey, don't end the game, but let's talk about it. Like, don't penalize me, but inform me so that moving forward I know how to handle you.
Okay. So what is the difference between affection and effection?
So affection is more of like a sexual connotation. Effection is more of a outside of a sexual connotation. It's given that same level of support and closeness, but not in the pursuit of sex. It's that sitting around the room in your presence, just chilling. Like, it's that feel you get, but it's not trying to cultivate a sexual atmosphere. It's just that ambiance of like, I really enjoy this, like just being with you. Not, I hope me taking you out leads to the bedroom. It's, I want to take you out because I want to spend that time in your presence. And for my wife personally, like she told me she likes effection more than affection, but the effection does give her gas to give me the. I'm a affectionate person. She's effection, but as long as I'm adhering to her effection, it gives her gas to give me the affection I want. You know what I'm saying? So that was a game changer for me when I realized like I really have to balance that out, because I thought as long as I'm having passionate sex with you, that's giving you all the affection you need. But once I was introduced to the affection, it's like, that wasn't enough. I got to do more. Yeah. But I get it though.
I agree with that. A man that believes a man that believes that he should pay majority of the bills simply because he's a man is a red flag. So we already discussed the woman believing it, but a man that believes it, is that a red flag?
It is a red flag because it speaks to the same 100,000 to the 125,000. Like, if you're gonna be a man or the head, because you're ascribing to the head mentality with that thought process, right? Why haven't your head identified that financially you and her can do way more good collectively than you trying to be Superman by yourself?
Facts. I agree with that. And that, again, that also speaks to the idea that, you know, clearly you're not goal oriented and you're not creating a plan to be more fruitful in the long run.
It's just it's a right now. And you talked about it. Was it today? You said people are. It was a word you used. I was like, man, that's perfect. You was like they're. It's kind of like a current conscious. Like, I'm only worried about how I look and feel right now.
Instant gratification.
Yes. Instant transmission. Yeah, that's what it is. It's instant gratification, and we're real life sacrificing like 15 years worth of mortgage for instant gratification. But if you just, hold off on that for 10 years, you can realize pay a house off in like 10 or 12 years instead of 30 by utilizing the full benefits of partnership and 50-50. But you want so bad to uphold tradition, you're willing to sacrifice 15 years of your life where you could have used that $1,000 mortgage to make investments or pay for your child's college or pay cars off or anything. But because that tradition you want to uphold of being the man and my man handling business, but it's not smart though.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. A woman that is a single mother is a red flag. Cap on, cap off. I say cap on. And I think I would say it's for the same reasons that we said it for. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I say, so cap on is not a red flag. Because, again, I do agree that men have the responsibility of making sure that in the heat of sexual intercourse, when they feel themselves getting ready to climax, whatever the case is, they then have the responsibility to make sure that if the goal is to not have a child, then make sure that you're pulling out before ejaculating inside of it, right? Now, what I will say is a red flag is if you have a child by a man who already has multiple baby mamas. That's definitely red.
Okay, I give you that. So even though you have one, you should do a better job at gauging. Well, ma'am, he has 3.
Exactly.
So be mindful when you're approaching him or when you let him approach you.
Correct.
Because clearly
women will sit up here and have a child with a man who already has multiple baby mamas, as if that's not a clear indication that he not only lacks self-control, but lacks the sexual responsibility to make sure that he's not spreading his seed.
That's
everywhere.
A good word, sexual responsibility.
Like, golly,
which
ends up making you more sexually irresponsible than him because you clearly see that he can't.
Word.
Like, come on.
Have I ever heard that word?
Probably. I'm
sexual
sure.
responsibility is a wonderful way to describe what's going on.
Yeah. So if your child is from a previous relationship where neither of you had children and y'all were together and y'all had a child, but the situation didn't work out, fine.
Yeah.
But women who end up having a child by a man who already has multiple baby mothers or multiple children by multiple women, that's definitely a red flag.
And I was thinking about this on the way here, not to pick at anybody, but it's really delusion at best. Like, you're delusional enough to think that you're going to be the one to change him. Mm-hmm. You're delusional enough to think that you're going to be different. You're delusional enough to think that, by some whim, you're not going to end up like he did the other ones. Like, where do you get that idea from? Mm-hmm. Like, and the thing that gets me, and this is only coming from the female that I've talked to, you admit to me in the current conversation that you don't have these skills, right? Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence, effective communication, like the list, the list.
Right.
But at the same time, you also thought that you could change him. How could you change him when you don't even have the skills needed right now for your own personal development? Mm-hmm. So what was you going to change him with? The very thing that he impregnated you with. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You thought you had something.
Yeah.
You really didn't.
Yeah. Facts.
We got to do better.
Got to. And I think that was all of them. All right. So the reason why I wanted to discuss red flags is to place accountability back on everybody, like all of us, men and women alike. Mm-hmm. The reason being is because we can clearly sit here and go through a bunch of scenarios where we can identify what would be a red flag for us, right? But too often what ends up happening is we end up getting in situations with people where, of course, at the beginning of the relationship it's all, puppies and roses or whatever the case is. However, in the midst of all of the puppies and the roses and the flowers and the whatever, there are certain red flags that happen to come up or get thrown in the air. But for whatever reason, we either turn Stevie Wonder to the red flags But, like we either turn
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder to the red flags, or we see the red flag, but for whatever reason, like you said, we are delusional and convince ourselves that okay, well, we are special enough for them to want to change or improve this behavior to ensure that our relationship is more productive or healthy long
And
term.
what makes you that special though? Cause just a pen right there. It can't be, and this is speaking to the women. It can't be your vagina, because that's the very thing that he utilized to put those other women in that same position. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem, because I mean I believe I'm special, but I have a list of things that I can tell you why I'm special. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to approach these men with this mentality of, oh, I'm finna change him, I'm the one, he ain't gonna do me like that, at least come with something of value, some principles that would give you the strength to do that. Now, I'm not even recommending you spearhead him with those things. Work on yourself first, but don't utilize your vagina as a tool of delusional thinking that you finna just be like, oh, once I put it on him, he gonna be gone just like he did on him. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. And so what I want people to do or take from this is to take back accountability for the fact that, okay, during the course of my relationship with this person, were there certain red flags or the issues that we had toward the end of our tenure or towards the end of our relationship? Were there red flags or indicators about this particular issue early on in our relationship? If the answer is yes, then okay, you have to take some accountability for the fact that you identified this issue early on and were able to either address it or decide if this is something that you wanted to continue, and you decided against both. Mm-hmm. You have to take accountability for that.
That's where resentment comes from. That's why I gave you 5 years, and how you gonna do this to me? You knew he wasn't no good, or you knew she wasn't no good years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, who you really mad at this point, though?
Yeah. So yeah, I just want everybody to be accountable, because I know women especially, they tend to blame, say men are dogs, men are trash, men are whatever, or he did me dirty, whatever the case is. But okay, he didn't show you he wasn't
like
ish before.
He didn't just like pop out
like this. This isn't new.
This
you saw that this was what was going on, and yet you stayed with him.
Because you thought your vagina was going to change the world.
Change them. So, let's take some accountability for the fact that you decided to stay in the city. You literally saw a hurricane coming towards you as you were driving, and you did nothing to stop.
You
put
didn't
it in
reroute.
reverse,
No.
Turn around and go the other way. Like,
I think you ran straight. Who hurricane?
Man, lovely weather we're having.
Sunroof. Like, what y'all thought this was?
Baby, I think I'm gonna have a picnic today. Like, what? Like, no.
It's on you.
We're driving into a hurricane, man.
On you,
so
man.
yeah, we got to take some accountability, bro.
It's on
and
you.
men, and I say men as well because I've done this myself. Early on in relationships, I've identified red flags that I decided to either ignore or decided that, okay, maybe I have what it takes to help this person grow, or challenge this person to do better, or challenge them to identify within themselves that these are issues that are not conducive to a long-term healthy relationship. So, and I have to take accountability for that, and I 100% do, and that's what I want everybody to take from this. Like, let's just be accountable, man. Let's just be accountable. Don't put it all on the other person. Let's put it on ourselves for sure. Do you have anything to say to that?
Great conversation.
Great.
I really view red flags a little different now. Like,
I do too.
I just saw it as, hey, stop, and like the game is over. But now it's like, hey, like, stop and say something now, because later on it won't be so bad. Because I mean, if you say, hey, I don't like how every time something comes up, we don't communicate well, and then we end up just like we never resolve. Mm-hmm. That'll be something that'll now we either got to come to a decision on, hey, we really need to start resolving it, or we need to leave each other alone, because we identify. But if we keep building years down the road, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to be with you no more. Why? Mm-hmm. Hey, you been there all these years, that. It's like, oh, well, what? What, man, 25 years? What do you mean? So yeah, I now see red flags as a great gateway to a possible future instead of an end of something that has just created resentment in me. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. But I think we can wrap it up here. It's been about an hour or so now. I just want to say thank you for those of you tuning in. If you want to catch other videos, then catch us every single week, same time, same place, every Thursday at 7 o'clock. First of all, what I want you guys to do is make sure you hit that like button. If you are watching and you did enjoy the conversation, please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification so that you can catch every time that we do go live. Again, every Thursday at 7 o'clock, same time, same place. But right now, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to our future selves. One day we'll look back on this and wonder why we were ever like this in the first place. And on that note, we're going to